Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Game on Cloud 9 here, and I'm here to bring you guys a new One Piece manga 700 prediction. And wow, man, we're almost to chapter 700. Next week we'll be there, and obviously that's a landmark chapter, so I'm not sure if we're going to get a color page next week, because we got a color page this week, and it was pretty much kind of like monarchy, medieval feel, which I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys assume or probably recognize the fact that, Doflamingo, we kind of found out, we already knew he controlled his own empire somewhat in Dressrosa, but he's also kind of like royalty in Dressrosa, so I'm pretty sure that's kind of to correspond with Doflamingo, since we see Luffy in medieval gear looking like a king. Same thing with the Straw Hats, all armored up, in the whole medieval European gear. And, I think that's to correspond with Doflamingo. But this chapter, I don't know, I definitely thought it was good. We had a lot of different information in there. I had to really try to figure out before I did this video how I was gonna basically summarize everything, because you had a few comedic scenes here or there, but then you had some important things noting as well. The chapter, of course, we starts off with the confrontation between Aokiji, my second favorite character in One Piece, and then you have Doflamingo, and Aokiji just straight up freezes Doflamingo. Doflamingo, he gets ready to move his fingers, and then all of a sudden, boom, frozen. And then, but we actually found out. I guess Aokiji didn't freeze him completely because Doflamingo ended up breaking out of it. And while he's walking away, Doflamingo actually said something kind of interesting. He's pretty much saying, asking Aokiji what he is, what he's like now, the man that's standing in front of him. What is he actually thinking? And Aokiji doesn't really answer him. Aokiji right now, it seems like pretty much, now that he's left the Marines, his way of thinking has kind of somewhat changed, or more or less it's the same way, but now he's more or less acting more upon his actual thoughts and feelings than he ever did when he was with the Marines, because he has a conversation with Smoker, and pretty much he's telling Smoker, I'm the same guy, I'm the same one. I've never full on, I guess, trusted the world government. At least that's what he's saying. He never fully trusted the world government. And, he actually, you can tell he kind of basically came to warn Smoker of what's going on. Because Smoker, Smoker actually questioned him, is he with this underground movement, since he showed up or whatever. And, he's like, no, I'm by myself. But, I need to let you know that pretty much Doflamingo, you need to send, tell Akainu he needs to send some people over there, send the new admirals, because I guess Doflamingo is so big that he threatens the new Marines. Now, we don't know much about Akainu's new Marines, his new style. We already know about his justice, but, we don't know how much more powerful the Marines are now than they were before. But I expect these new Marines to be pretty darn, crazy. So I don't know if we're going to see them pretty soon, since Aokiji pretty much tells Smoker to do that, for a reason. Because, obviously, we all know Smoker is no match for Doflamingo. We see that clearly now. Even though he's a vice admiral, he got his butt whooped. And, I don't know, I'm kind of, I don't know, I like Doflamingo. For a minute, I was thinking when Aokiji froze him, even though Aokiji's my second favorite character, I was about to be pissed, because I was about to be thinking, are you serious? He got on that quickly? I don't want anybody rescuing Doflamingo, seriously, because Doflamingo right now is giving me that New World villainous feel. I feel like I'm in New World right now. We are in New World right now. Caesar Clown didn't do that, so I'm like, all right, Doflamingo, I'm glad he broke out of that, and I'm glad, he's, went on with his business or whatnot. But it's kind of funny, he basically told, before he left Aokiji behind, he told him, hey, if, I don't, basically if he doesn't get what he wants, or, if he interferes, he's, they're going to end up finishing the conclusion of their fight. Hey, I wouldn't mind seeing that, though. Likelihood is Aokiji would win, but I wouldn't mind seeing a conclusion to, or see them actually go head to head. It'd be pretty interesting. But, after that part of the chapter, we end up seeing these Straw Hats and, seeing them, of course, sailing on the sea. They're pretty much expecting to hear from Doflamingo at some point. I think at this point it's nighttime. Have a little bit of comedic scenes. We have, of course, Kinemon and trying to fight Zoro. And, in that scene, obviously, he's trying to fight him, because he found out that one of Zoro's sword, the black sword that Zoro has, he found out that that belonged to one of the samurai in Wano Kuni, and I guess it's connected to an incident that happened in Wano Kuni. So pretty much, he's trying to attack him because he thinks Zoro is to blame for this. And The thing is, this is my only problem sometimes in One Piece. Like, you have these scenes like this which could be taken seriously and, could really, to me, develop a character. But then I feel like, you throw comedy in there too. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes it's funny, but sometimes I'm like, I don't know. I would have preferred if that would have been more of a more serious scene. You know what I mean? Had a little real conflict going on, not just, I don't know, like him saying something, but like seeming like he's mad, but he's really not mad because it wasn't really a real focus of the chapter. So, I mean, I don't know. You can kind of, I mean, it was kind of funny, but and I guess it's cool that he acknowledged it, but I don't know. I didn't really care for that scene too much in terms of. I thought I would have liked it more if it would have been like more of a serious scene. But one of the other comedic scenes in the chapter obviously is when we see Mononosuke taking a bath with Robin. Of course, Sanji and Brooke and Kinemon just about freak out because they obviously would love to be able to do that. Like take a bath with freaking Robin and hang out with Nami and all that. But obviously, them being a bunch of grown dudes aren't going to be able to do that like a little kid. So I don't know, that part I did enjoy in the chapter. I almost bust out laughing with that particular scene. But the end of the chapter, I say towards the end, is pretty much the more serious part of the chapter when finally the newspaper arrives and we find out Doflamingo resigned from the Shichibukai as well as resigned from, or I guess threw away his title of being like the king of Dressrosa. So he's no longer royalty. So that pretty much, I mean, actually, I would say Frankie says something that really made a lot of sense because I mean, you have Law that's all happy, Luffy that's all happy, like okay, everything's going the way it should be, and like Frankie's like, this kind of seems like a bad omen. Things going a little bit too easy, and I have to kind of agree with that. I'm like, ain't no way Doflamingo's just going along with stuff, and things are going like Doflamingo's got something up his sleeve. I mean, is you think about Doflamingo's theme where he's looks like he's pulling strings or whatever. Obviously, something about to go down. He's about to pull some strings in some other metaphorical way and get at Law and the Straw Hats because there's no way it's going to be this much of a breeze. But I think Law knows that because Law pretty much goes ahead and says like, okay, you can see how badly he wants Caesar that he'd be willing to throw away something that he built up 10 years, like, or it took him 10 years to build up his entire empire, as well as his title of Shishibukai, which of course comes with its perks. So he's pretty much gunning for the of course Law and the Straw Hats. And oh yeah, another thing to note is that the Straw Hats are now in the newspaper, like the alliance between the Straw Hats and of course Law, and then we see the alliance with some of the other Shichibukais that's in the newspaper. So I'm kind of wondering, like who actually like the Doflamingo tell, like I mean obviously the other Shichibukai, I mean not Shichibukai, but the other supernovas, somebody could have maybe, or they could have maybe announced their own alliance, but kind of wondering like did Doflamingo tell the world or tell the people about the alliance between Law and the Straw Hats, because how else could anybody really know, because they just formed this alliance. So I don't know, I find that part a little weird, but at the same time I think it would make sense if Doflamingo did that because I mean, hey, he's probably like, if I have to give up my title of Shishibukai, I don't think I'm just gonna let you get away with doing what you do. But at the end of the chapter, pretty much we see Doflamingo sitting in his chair. The phone is ringing, and like obviously we see people are trying to contact him because he gave up his position of power, his royalty, and that pretty much was the end. Now, what's going to happen from here on out? I mean, I don't know. Doflamingo, I mean, he seems like he's, obviously pretty frustrated with what he's had to do. I think we're going to see Kaido sometime soon because I think Kaido's going to be probably the person that's calling him, trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Since Kaido, in a sense, seems to be not necessarily his boss, but he kind of well, in a way, yeah, he seems to be somewhat of his boss. I mean, I would kind of say like, hey, I can see Kaido trying to figure out what Doflamingo's doing, what the freaking problem is. And, I mean, obviously, from there on, maybe Doflamingo will figure out something because I think he's probably trying to figure out what he can do at this current amount of time to get at the Straw Hats as well as Law. Since they've been creating trouble for him, and since he did have to throw all this away, because he doesn't seem like the type of character to throw all this away without having some type of plan, especially since he is like a villain. I'm pretty sure he's about to mess things up for the Straw Hats. I mean, things are going, like Frankie said, going a little too smoothly, and I don't think that things will go this smoothly, especially with a villain like Doflamingo that's been hyped up since like part one of One Piece. So I don't know. I expect a lot more, but do expect. I probably say. I mean, Baby Five and Buffalo. I mean, they're not really that impressive to me anymore. But I expect maybe some other characters to probably show up and maybe from Kaido. Kaido may send a few people over to help Doflamingo out, and maybe they'll try to go ahead and run the Straw Hats and run Law. Take them out real quick. And maybe I'd probably say, since it seems like they may actually, since I know they're heading for, I believe they're heading for Dressrosa. So I mean, their confrontation obviously is going to happen there, but who knows? It may even happen even earlier. Maybe somebody will ambush the Straw Hats or something like that. But this is pretty much my thoughts on this week's One Piece chapter. Let me know what you guys think. Did you enjoy it? Did you think that it was a good chapter this week? A lot of information, definitely, but kind of expect that from a typical One Piece chapter. Most chapters do have a lot of information in it, which I have to give Oda props for. Sometimes it's actually a little hard for me to make sure I remember everything or I get all my information correct, so I don't sit up here and talk to you guys and go over this chapter and sound completely silly or something. But overall, yeah, the chapter had quite a bit of information, which is always good for a chapter. Pacing was good. I would say comedy felt like it was misplaced at some parts, but for most part, felt like the comedy was spot on in terms of, like, I would say, especially with the Robin and Nami and the Mononosuke scene. But the other scene, like with the I say with Chopper and Usopp, and then you had the scene with Kinemon and Zoro, I felt like wasn't really needed. Sometimes that's my main issue with One Piece. Sometimes I feel like the comedy is misplaced, but other than that, no problems with this week's chapter. Definitely, an okay cliffhanger. So I would say it's a pretty solid chapter of One Piece, or pretty good actually. I'd say it was just a good chapter of One Piece. So let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to rate this. So if you did like it, put a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, put a thumbs down if you want to. And also, don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy my content and you would like to see more. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you later.